This is Arkies in the Beltway, a look at national politics and the Arkansans influencing the discussions. I'm Alex Thomas, Washington correspondent for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, reporting from the nation's capital. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of April 21st, 2024. Arkansas's two U.S. senators disagreeing with the Senate's vote to dismiss impeachment charges against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Both Senators John Boozman and Tom Cotton vote against dropping the two charges, which allege Mayorkas willfully ignored the nation's immigration laws and breached the public's trust. The Republican-led House of Representatives impeached Mayorkas in February, making him only the second cabinet official in U.S. history to be impeached. The first Secretary of War, William Belknap, in May 1876. The Senate opted not to hold a trial, with the Democratic caucus united in challenging if impeaching Mayorkas is an appropriate action. Cotton of Little Rock says Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has set a dangerous precedent.
When the House of Representatives sends us articles of impeachment, the Constitution, along with our customs, say that we should have a trial. And he didn't want to subject his party, especially the vulnerable Democratic senators running for re-election, to the embarrassment of sitting through a trial and putting up the evidence of Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas' abdication of duty to protect our southern border.
Boozman of Rogers saying in a statement, the move undermines the Constitution. The impeachment and related trial as Congress remains unable to pass comprehensive legislation addressing security at the U.S.-Mexico border, despite interest in possible action. Cotton is not confident lawmakers can pass such a measure, given the current state of Capitol Hill.
I think it's something that will have to await a new Republican president in Congress.
All four of Arkansas's House members backed impeaching Mayorkas in February. Cotton standing by comments he made regarding pro-Palestinian demonstrations, the senator first telling Fox News and later sharing on social media that private citizens, if blocked by protests, should, quote, take matters into their own hands. The demonstrations shut down traffic in multiple major American cities in hopes of bringing attention to Palestine amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Cotton dismissing suggestions that his words promote vigilante justice.
Well, these lunatics are the vigilantes. They're the one that's taking the law in their own hand. They don't have any right to block traffic. They certainly don't have the right to block traffic on major roads and highways. And if they expect their fellow citizens who are trying to get to work, trying to pick up kids at school, to just sit there for hours, as happened yesterday in California, again, in Arkansas, I think they'd have another thing coming.
Cotton receiving rebuke online, the Democratic Party of Arkansas calling Cotton's words dangerous for Arkansas and for America. In the House of Representatives, one committee advancing legislation to support state-led conservation efforts, the House Natural Resources Committee reporting the America's Wildlife Habitat Conservation Act out of that body. The legislation would set aside $320 million annually for 5 years for supporting state wildlife habitat and conservation work. The funding from unused dollars in the 2021 Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. The bill would also grant states flexibility in developing recovery strategies for species listed under the Endangered Species Act as threatened or likely candidates for such designation. Representative Bruce Westerman of Hot Springs is the bill's lead sponsor. He also serves as the chairman of the House Natural Resources Committee.
It's all well and good to try to rehabilitate species, but if you're not adequately managing their habitat and optimizing it to help wildlife flourish, the species will continue to suffer no matter what laws we pass here, no matter what kind of debate we have here in this committee or on the House floor. What really matters is what happens on the ground.
Committee Democrats oppose the bill. Lawmakers have spent part of the current Congress pushing similar legislation. The Recovering America's Wildlife Act would provide long-term annual funding for conservation efforts. California Democrat Jared Huffman called Westerman's bill the antithesis of the Recovering America's Wildlife Act.
We've gone from the gold standard of RAWA to this poor excuse of a wildlife conservation bill, a bill that actually does more to harm wildlife habitat than to help.
The House passed the Recovering America's Wildlife Act in the last Congress, but the full Senate did not consider this legislation. Representative Steve Womack has a new role on the House Appropriations Committee. Womack of Rogers embracing his new title, the chairman of its Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Subcommittee. That body oversees funding related to the Departments of Transportation and Housing and Urban Development, as well as agencies like the Federal Aviation Administration. Womack had been serving as the chairman of the Financial Services and General Government Subcommittee. The move stems from that subcommittee's chairman, Oklahoma Republican Tom Cole, becoming the full committee chairman. Womack says his new role is an important opportunity.
I wasn't necessarily looking to leave FSGG because I'm in my first term as chairman, fourth year overall. But the impact that subcommittee has on matters and issues vital to my district and my state, and ultimately to the country, was just too good to pass up.
The congressman already busy in his new position, Womack meeting with Maryland Governor Wes Moore last week to discuss recovery efforts involving the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore. And that'll do it for this edition of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of April 21st, 2024. You can stay up to date with all news involving Arkansas at arkansasonline.com. You can get in touch with me on social media. My handle is @AlexHouseThomas. Special thanks to the team down in Little Rock. I'm Alex Thomas, and this has been Arkies in the Beltway. Thanks for listening.